It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. Tonight, I'm here with. And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
More than 80 towards 100 and counting. He's packed the courts. And we know that they've packed the courts because they want to avoid accountability after they have left office.
By no less a public figure than the fourth president of the Fourth Republic, who was told that I have packed the courts with so-called MPP judges, and that one of the key presidents of a putative NDC victory in 2024 enables with so NDC judges.
President Akufo-Addo clashes with his predecessor John Mahama over the neutrality of judges in Ghana's courts. But who is being political with the appointments at the bench? That's a question we have on Eyewitness News tonight. Also coming up, minority in Parliament postpones march on the Bank of Ghana again over what it called safety concerns. And later on Eyewitness News, EC's limited voter registration starts tomorrow. But the NDC's case against the issue is yet to be heard by the courts. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Ghana Hotels Association petitions Speaker of Parliament over high cost of utility and what they say is unfair treatment from the PURC.
That's in 50 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations in the Western region. We're on Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi. We're on Beach 105.5 FM in Takoradi and Sky Power 93.5 FM also in Takoradi. If you go to the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. We are on Ahafo regions, Hames 106.5 FM in Goso. In the Ashanti region, we are on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we are on Akpini Radio 96.7 in Kpando and Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohwe. In the Northern region, we are on Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In the Upper East, on Word 88.3 FM in Zwarungu. In Upper West, we are on Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura. And in the Northeast region, we are live on Eagle 94.1 FM in Wale. We are also live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. We are also live on CitiNewsroom.com. It's an interactive show. Let's hear what you think of the stories we are bringing you tonight. The WhatsApp number is 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. Send tweet using the hashtag CitiNewsroom. Tweet at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973. We have the executive arm of government, the legislative arm, and the judicial arm. Now, we also have the media being the fourth arm, according to many experts in the space. But the issue of the neutrality of the judicial arm is one that has become a subject of debate over the past week or so. Former President John Dramani Mahama spoke to NDC lawyers and said that they would have to neutralize the situation at the bench because President Akufo-Addo was appointing politically tainted persons. Let's listen to him before we hear Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president's response today in Cape Coast.
Currently, the judiciary is packed with NPP judges because this government has carried out a deliberate policy of putting their people on the bench. It's more than 80 towards 100 and counting. He's packed the courts, and we know that they've packed the courts because they want to avoid accountability after they have left office. And so all manner of people who are known to have been partisan, to have been executives of their party, who are in the legal profession, are being leapfrogged into the superior courts and other places. We must be prepared as NDC legal persons to also go onto the bench so that we can balance out, the judicial. And so I encourage some of you to look at careers on the bench so that we can balance out what's the current situation is.
So that was President John Mahama, former president, that is speaking to a legal team of NDC last week. Today, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, was at the bar conference and he did not take kindly to the former president's assertion of the situation at the bench. Let's listen.
In the case of appointments to the Supreme Court, because of its unique position in our judicial structure, there are the additional requirements of the Council to prove valid. In the overwhelming number of cases of justices designate to the Supreme Court, approval has been given bipartisan basis. You can count on the fingers of a hand the number of justices designate whose approval meant less than unanimous consent. I've gone into this matter because of a concept that has been recently introduced into our public discourse by no less a public figure than the fourth president of the Fourth Republic, who was told that I have packed the courts with so-called MPP judges, and that one of the key premisses of a putative NDC victory in 2024 enabled balance with so NDC judges. Not only are these concepts of, quote, MPP and, quote, NDC judges new in our public discourse, they're also extremely dangerous and represent independent judiciary by an allegedly responsible politician of the Fourth Republic. They provide another reason we need right-thinking citizens for the defeat in 2024 of the man whom the first special prosecutor identified as government official number one in the still unresolved airport Airbus bribery scandal.
So that was President Akufo-Addo speaking at the bar conference in the Central Region today when he went to speak to them at the opening of the conference. Now, last week when we did this story, we spoke to former President Mahama's aide to let us understand exactly what the former president was saying. Was he going to also appoint NDC members to the bench? He gave us the position of the former president, but now the president is condemning the very words that were uttered by his predecessor. Felix Kwakye-Ofosu was the man we spoke to. He was deputy minister in the Mahama government and speaks for the former president. He's joined us on the line now. You're welcome to Eyewitness News. I'm sure you expected a response from the government, but not necessarily from the president himself. Now he responds and says that your boss, having been accused by the first special prosecutor, should be the last person to be making comments of this nature, considering that he is what he calls allegedly a responsible person. He shouldn't be making these comments. And I believe he's re-echoing what many critics said to you in the past week or so, isn't it?
First of all, nobody is surprised that the legal wing of the MPP, also known as the Ghana Bar Association, has given this platform to President Akufo-Addo and the Attorney General to throw tantrums and attack the person of the former president. It vindicates the position we raised, that Ghana's entire judicial and legal architecture is an MPP appendage. Number two, the president has said some awful things since he took power. This has to count as the most irresponsible and reckless statement any president can make. He seeks to question how responsible President Mahama is and says that because President Mahama has criticized the judiciary, he should not be voted for. Well, even President Akufo-Addo, who formed terrorist groups, calling them Delta Forces, Invincible Forces, and brought in mercenaries to train these terrorist groups to challenge the authority of the state, was elected by the people of Ghana. So I can assure President Akufo-Addo that given that President Mahama is a far sober and more reflective person than he is, if he has become president, President Mahama will be elected. The people of Ghana will have no difficulty electing President Mahama. But it is that as well that the president could not give any tangible defense to the legitimate concerns that President Mahama raised. As for the fact that he, President Akufo-Addo, has packed the judiciary with MPP partisans, it is beyond that. And again, as I do always, I will give you specific instances that the president cannot deny. The last time, I told you about Solomon Chumesi, who is a former chairman of the MPP wing in the Doma East constituency of the Bono Afro region. He is also a non-MPP communicator in Kumasi. There is video evidence of him doing this work for the MPP. President Akufo-Addo appointed him a High Court judge sometime last year. And next, Anfa Ankoma, is a non-MPP activist who has posted publicly on social media defending the MPP. In fact, he used to work with the former Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, in his law chambers. He has been appointed a High Court judge. Justice Yalgo, who is now sits on the Supreme Court, publicly admitted to his MPP membership before Parliament's Appointments Committee. There is evidence of his contestation on a parliamentary ticket of the MPP. He did not deny it. His posters are actually public knowledge. Everybody knows this. He was appointed as a Supreme Court judge by President Akufo-Addo. Justice Nabila Sahiba is the wife of President Akufo-Addo's trade minister. She is a High Court judge appointed by President Akufo-Addo. Dr. Ernest Owusu-Dapaya was a member of President Akufo-Addo's legal team in the 2020 case that we took to court. Justice Clemens Onyenuga publicly endorsed President Akufo-Addo for re-election in 2020. At the time he did that endorsement, he was an appeal court judge. President Akufo-Addo promptly promoted him to the Supreme Court. And you know the role he played in the Opuni case. And I could go on and on and on and list for you a tall list of people like that. In addition to this, Umaru, is the fact that because of this packing of our courts, there are several bizarre, unfair, unbalanced judgments and treatments that have been meted out to the NDC that we can record. The most bizarre among them is this birth certificate ruling. In a case that both the MPP and the NDC had interest, we were told that a birth certificate, which is a document on which your parents' hometown is stated, does not show where one comes from because the MPP had an interest in it. We also know what they did to Opuni. You know, after Clemens Onyenuga justice reached the age of 70, which required him to retire, they gave him a 6 months extension to sit on the case with a view to concluding it. He could not conclude it. They appointed another judge to oversee the case. This judge ruled that in order for him to have a fair idea of the whole case, it was important for him to start the trial afresh. Umaru, after this judgment, within weeks, this judge was transferred from Accra so that he could no longer handle the case. And I could go on and on. Look at how they have treated the NDC in the matter of the passage of the E-levy. You recall that when the NDC minority prevailed over the MPP and rejected the 2021 budget because of the introduction of the E-levy, Justice Abdullahi went to court. But because the MPP had interest in that matter, within days, the case was listed and heard and ruled in favor of the MPP. Meanwhile, the minority also, on the back of the purported approval of the budget by the minority, went to court. Umaru, that case has been in the Supreme Court for 3 years. So why is it that when it comes to the MPP, there is such expeditious, hearing of their cases? And yet when it comes to the NDC, there is so much delay. Look, only today, President Ahmed has had to complain once again about how political parties that have filed an injunction against the EC's conduct of registration exercise starting tomorrow have been treated. They filed this case on last Thursday, with a view to ensuring that the injunction case is set in early enough for the parties to know exactly what they should do, because the answer is starting tomorrow. We were told by the registrar of the courts that because the Chief Justice has traveled, no date can be given for the hearing of this case. The Chief Justice came back to town, went to Cape Coast for this bar conference, and yet, as of this afternoon, the case has still not been listed. Until President Mahama posted on this on Facebook, only for us to receive a message from the court registrar that suddenly the case has been set for 17th. At the time when the exercise that we seek to injunct has already been started. So when you treat political parties and other interested parties this way, and you treat their people differently, what do you expect us to say? By the stroke of a pen, he wrote to the Chief Justice that he did not want a judge who had cited him for contempt to sit on his case. Because he wrote to the Chief Justice, his request was granted. The judge was removed from the case. Meanwhile, as for the Montier today, when they said things that were deemed disparaging of judges, the same judges who they allegedly disparaged were part of the panel who sat on the case. Umaru, there is a judge who has held a journalist who is critical of the Akufo-Addo government in contempt. In the judge's rights against the journalist, he described him as a scoundrel. Yet, this judge was sit on this case. So why is there so much selectivity and unfairness and imbalance? And yet we are told that when that selectivity and unfairness and imbalance occurs, we should also talk about it. But I can assure President that it does not matter how many times you throw presidential tantrums. We will never stop complaining about the unfairness and injustice in our judicial system. For as long as that injustice prevails, we will permanently complain. And nobody will shut us up in this country, certainly not the former president.
Are you not worried, though? The president is concerned. He says the commentary and the public discourse is extremely dangerous, to quote him, and represents a brazen attack on the independence of the judiciary. Do you not worry that the judiciary, which is supposed to be an independent institution which should have nothing to do with what politicians do, is now being dragged by both leaders? That is problematic. It is possible that the persons who are appointed may have political leanings, but who really isn't political at the bench?
But Umar, how do you expect a dyed-in-the-wool MPP person to be independent on the bench? Well, we have a situation where ordinary citizens of this country, at least through the work of Anas, have been shown to have used paltry amounts of money and yam and goods to get judges to do their bidding. Yet we are being told that dyed-in-the-wool MPP activists and propagandists and party chairmen who are appointed judges are suddenly insulated from overbearing, overreaching partisan extremists like President Akufo-Addo that you won't control them. And then when we see obvious signs of manipulation, we should keep quiet. So merely complaining about mistreatment is not dangerous. What is dangerous is the deliberate manipulation and politicization of the judiciary and state institutions. We are talking about a president who did not have any problem removing an electoral commissioner that he came to meet and replacing him with MPP studios. We have seen him appoint an MPP chap called Apia Hine, who is known to be a dyed-in-the-wool MPP person to the Electoral Commission. One, the Electoral Commission is supposed to conduct elections as a referee between interested parties. So the NDC and MPP are contesting elections, and one of the persons who is organizing the election is an MPP person. How does anybody expect fairness? And how can the president be so duplicitous and hypocritical as to pretend that this is not an issue, and that the one who is complaining about the issue is the one endangering the judiciary? You see, he is behaving like a typical bully who punches him in the groin. And when you are written in pain and you cry out, he asks you not to cry because crying will disturb his peace. But I'm making the point again that for us wrong, as this bias, this duplicity, this unfairness and imbalance persist, we in the NDC will continue complaining that no earthly force will compel us to shut up in the face of injustice. If the judiciary is independent, it must reflect in the way that it is populated. We cannot accept a situation where MPP people are appointed to the judiciary. We see that they work in ways that undermine fairness and balance, and then we shut up. That will never happen in this country.
Very well. Thank you so much. Felix Kwakye-Ofosu was Deputy Minister in the Mahama government. He's an aide to the former president, just giving us his take on the president's comments on the state of the judiciary and the allegations by former President Mahama that he was packing the bench. Now, the president was speaking at the bar conference. This is not the only issue he talked about. He also talked about corruption, and he says he's taking the boldest initiatives since independence in the fight against corruption. When we come back from this break, we interrogate the claims of the president. Meanwhile, let me say that we've tried to read the Ghana Bar Association for comments on what has been happening since last week. Indeed, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu is just accusing the bar of being an offshoot of the New Patriotic Party. We were promised an interview, but at the 11th hour, the interview was not granted as a list. We are unable to reach the official who was supposed to speak to us. When we do get the Ghana Bar Association, we'll hear their views on the allegations against them, one, and the allegations against the president. Stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy.
Can't touch this.
Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that.
Yes, so
somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched.
Sancho Panza.
Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Hello?
My guy, tonight what's up? What be the agenda?
Bro, make we enter town. We go pick level for 1957 bar. Then we go pre-game for Osu. After we fit enter streets, hit Ali bar, then jam for some other side.
Where?
But not necessarily in order. Last we will take the last show enter club.
More options, you know that.
You know see, but today be you the bill.
Oh, you don't get problem. As I get Express Pay.
With all your wallets and cards in one place on Express Pay, you get to chill and casa with no worries. Send money, pay bills, and transact effortlessly. Our 247 customer care is always available to assist you. Download Express Pay and enjoy life with the option of all options.
Ajwapa, what's all this condom business? Oh, I've told her over and over again that she won't get pregnant, and she's still insisting. Oh, isn't she the same person who said we would not have sex till we go out for at least 2 years? For all this time? Oh, and she still can't trust me enough? Ama, when I try to do something small, no, condom this, condom that. So handsome man like me, she probably thinks I have HIV?
Using a condom will protect you and your partner. Condoms are effective for protection against a wide spectrum of STIs and HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Our big story tonight has to do with the judiciary of Ghana, who is making the judiciary political. Former President Mahama says his successor, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has packed the bench with NPP judges. The president responds today and says that is an allegation which hurts the judiciary. The president was speaking at the Bar Conference. That's not the only issue he talked about. He also spoke about corruption and said that he has taken the boldest initiatives in the fight against corruption since independence on 6 March 1957. Listen to him.
Including the new Office of Special Prosecutors, have ever indicated any pressure from the executive over their investigation. There are some who refuse to accept my method of proceeding and have characterized me as a clearing agent. The mere allegation without more is enough to merit condemnation of the public official. For my part, I will not set aside due process in the fight against corruption, no matter how much improvement this entails for me. With a clear understanding that corruption thrives in an atmosphere conducive to its concealment, and that access to information is a vital tool in the fight against corruption. My government in its first term ensured the passage of the Right to Information Act 2019 Act 989 in order to give true meaning and effect to the provisions of Article 21, Clause 1, Subclause F of the Constitution.
So that's the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, speaking at the Bar Conference. Vitus Azim is a man who has been commenting on Ghana's fight against corruption for many years. He was with the Ghana Integrity Initiative which is a local chapter of Transparency International. Let's speak his thoughts on this particular subject. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have a barometer for measuring the fight against corruption so that we can test who has done what since 1957? The president says he has done the most. Do you have a way of, assessing this comment by the president?
Well, maybe not his comments, but we have various indices for corruption. And the most popular one is the Corruption Perception Index, which shows overall people's perception about the countries that are most corrupt. And Ghana has always fallen below the 50% mark out of its clean score of 100. The most recent one, I think we scored 41 out of 100. And so if you are using that as a measure, you obviously say that his touting about his successes will not measure up to the existing criteria for measuring corruption.
So
that is not the only barometer we use. We have other indicators. The Afro barometer, the Global Corruption Barometer, all these the African governance indicators, all these point to the opposite of what the president is saying. And in any case, the president has said it over and over several times. We are becoming tired of saying the same thing over and over without actually seeing action on the ground.
When you say action on the ground, he will quickly refer you to the fact that we have an Office of Special Prosecutor. It's a first since independence. He says he has resourced IOCO, he has resourced the Attorney General's Department, and that for him, that singular act is worthy of celebration in the fight against corruption. You do not agree?
When you say you have resourced, it's not just budgetary allocation. You need to go into the budget allocation and find out whether what he has given this year is more than what he gave last year, and whether what he has given this year has taken into consideration inflation and the falling exchange rate. You see, if you give me 100,000 this year, and last year you gave me 90,000, then I use 100,000 this year to buy what I could have used 90,000 to buy last year. So when you just throw figures into the air, I don't think there's any cause for us to be celebrating. And in any case, we've known about the case of the special prosecutor. It has been set up since 2018. How many staff does he have? Just recently we heard that he has now been allowed to recruit a number of staff, but they have not even reported yet. It's passing laws and not giving them the backing, giving the institution the necessary resources to perform, giving them the necessary independence to perform. He shouldn't be boasting about that. As for the Right to Information Bill, we have been fighting for this since 2013. Ask him, why is the Public Officer Code of Conduct Bill still pending?
You mentioned the RTI. It's been at the corridors of Parliament for 20 years. It was finally passed under his government. Again, he should take the credit for that. So perhaps it's fair if he says that he's the one who has done the most in that sector. That is one critical aspect, finding information from government institutions.
The question to ask is, how many officers has the Right Information Commission have on how many does he have in the country? How many regional offices? Not to talk about district offices. You see, it's not just passing a law, but giving it the teeth to bite. If you pass a law, first the regulation that should back the law. Do we have one? It's still being worked on. Then you go to the structures that you need to put in place for the institution to actually function. These are not there. So just like the Office of Special Prosecutor, the Right Information Commission also has similar problems, similar logistical problems, staffing problems, teaching problems that we have not overcome. So, as I said, it is an old story that the president keeps. This is not the first time he has appeared before the Ghana Bar Conference and has said the same thing over and over.
If the president were listening to you, what would you ask him to focus on in the fight against corruption?
To back his words with action. You just don't come and say, I've passed a law and I've referred to this. How many of his ministers, those seriously accused of corruption, has he even sacked, not talk about sanctioning them, bringing them for prosecution or that kind of thing. Serious investigations.
His former Minister for Sanitation is currently facing investigations. That's good, isn't it?
When the minister resigned, what did the president say? That he's sure she will be exonerated. Coming from the president himself, even before any investigation, was he not preempting the outcome of those investigations? If tomorrow the investigation council has not been found guilty, will Ghanaians believe that investigation, no matter which institution is coming from? He should be the last come and say, oh, the investigations have found you to be not culpable. But he should not always be the first. And this is not the first time. The cash for steel saga, the Australian visa saga, all these things, the president is always first come out and exonerate his ministers, even preempting all investigations. So what is he talking about?
Moving forward, the judiciary is critical in the fight against corruption. The two leaders, current President Akufo-Addo, former President Mahama, have been arguing and debating over who is doing what at the judiciary. I don't know if you care to comment and what that would also mean to the fight over who is appointing who to go to the judiciary or to the bench.
You see, part of the problem is with our constitution. The constitution leaves it open for with regards to how many Supreme Court judges the president can appoint. And this president has appointed the largest number. Some are known friends, some are known party people. And then when you go to some of the judgments, especially with regards to the state, cases against the state or the government, from a layman's perspective, it's like most of the time it is ruled in favor of the government. I'll just give you 2 or 3 examples. When I go to court, when I to try to seek an injunction against an activity that is taking place tomorrow, and the judge sets the date for hearing that case in a week's time, is it not ruling in favor of that action, that the action can go ahead? So when you do such things, we ordinary people will see it as always ruling in favor of the government. And that is not a good perception for the judiciary, because the judiciary is the last place that every citizen can go to seek redress. And if people don't have that good perception about the judiciary, then our democracy is in danger. And I think that the politicians need to take time to avoid doing anything that will affect the perception of Ghanaians about the judiciary.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
That's Vitus Azim. He's an anti-corruption crusader. And let me just say that we have the full statement by the president on point blank, in case you want to know exactly what he's been saying to lawyers when he went to the bar conference in Cape Coast today, at which point he raised a number of issues, which issues have been the subject of our discussion tonight on Eyewitness News. That event was hosted by the Ghana Bar Association. The PRO of the Ghana Bar Association is Sylvia Kuje, and he's joined us on the line. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening. Thank you.
First of all, the NDC has accused you, and I'm referring to various members of the NDC, of being an offshoot of the NPP and providing a platform to the president to come and attack the former president, who is a contestant in the elections of 2024. How do you plead?
Yeah, to start with, I must say that we are not an appendage of the NPP party or the President Akufo-Addo-led government. Neither is the Bar Association an appendage of any political party or any grouping whatsoever. Now, what the President said today was rather unfortunate, and we condemn it. The aspect we condemn has to do with his appeal to Ghanaians by way of campaigning of a sort to vote against President Mahama, just because he made a comment that President Akufo-Addo, has allegedly passed the court with the NPP aligned charges as described by President Mahama. And also bringing up the issue of the investigations allegedly linking former President Mahama to the Ember scandal. Our platform is not supposed to be used for that. And we condemn that level of President Akufo-Addo's comments. We are not going to allow anybody to use our platform to campaign politically for or against the opponent. Now, the condemnation that President Akufo-Addo made regarding the comments made by President Mahama on the appointment of people he described as NDP-led judges onto the bench, we are in full support of that, because President Akufo-Addo just re-echoed our earlier condemnation of the statement made by President Mahama, because these are democratic state institutions that anybody who wishes and yearns to be in the high office of president of this country will come and preside over. So we will not allow and condone such negative comments which have far-reaching effects on such institutions.
Now, when you condemn, usually what happens is you continue by apologizing to the person who was unfairly treated on your platform. Are you going to extend an apology to the former president over the comments of the president that you are condemning tonight?
I'm not sure we'll do that. The reason is that when President Mahama made a comment alleging that President Akufo-Addo appointed NPP aligned judges onto the bench, we condemned him, but we didn't apologize to President Akufo-Addo because President Mahama said those things about him. In like manner, we are not going to render any apology to former President Mahama, but we are condemning what the president said relative to turning the platform almost into a campaign forum.
So you will not apologize to the former president for providing a platform to one person to campaign against him, but you condemn the comment, even though you won't apologize?
Yeah, because we didn't offer a platform. We invited President Akufo-Addo in his capacity as a lawyer and the president of the country to come as a guest speaker. He would agree with me that nobody invites a guest to a program and will be given opportunities to preview or what the guest is coming to say, let alone be a party to the speech preparation relative to the program.
There are times that you have the privilege of previewing people's speeches. I don't know this particular arrangement, but if a guest came to your house and insulted someone, and that's if it was an insult, often the gentleman thing to do is after you rebuke the one who did the insulting, you apologize to the one who has been insulted. If you were to equate what happened to be insults or maybe unfair comments, if you condemn the commenter, you should then apologize to the one who's been commented on. You do not think so?
I think the analogy about somebody coming to your house doesn't suffice, because as I've explained already to you, a statement was made regarding the appointment of judges President Mahama described as NPP aligned judges. We condemned it. We never apologized to President Akufo-Addo. Now, President Akufo-Addo came to our conference and made statements, including saying that they should vote against President Mahama because he made comments against him regarding the appointment of judges onto the bench, and also linking him to the Airbus scandal. We have condemned it in just as we did not apologize to President Akufo-Addo, we are not going to apologize to President Mahama, because what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So we condemn the first one, we are condemning the second one as well.
Very well. Moving forward, the mistrust that the NDC has in you, what steps are you taking to clear those mistrust and misconceptions they have about you, that you are a group of NPP fanatics parading yourselves as a bar association? And they repeat that not just today, but consistently. That's the position of the NDC against the Ghana Bar Association.
I don't know what they understand by bar association. Bar association doesn't mean national executives of the bar. Any lawyer who is on the roll of lawyers in Ghana is a member of the bar. Once you pay a membership dues, you are a member. So if you are a member and you think that the way affairs are being run, you are not happy with, you have a stick. You make suggestions. You don't take a seat on the fringes and or sit on the fence and make comments like this, because it's to me, it's not going to help us. Let's come together and build a bar. There is nothing wrong with a group of Ghana Bar Association members identifying themselves with NDC or even forming an association. There's nothing wrong with it, they are right. But they must always remember that the Bar Association is for all of us, they are members. That is why they pay dues. They pay dues labeled membership dues. So we are never NPP fanatics, as you put it. Some of us are apolitical. If you want to care to know who Xavier Kuja is.
All right. Moving forward, the two gentlemen making comments on the appointments to the bench. As an association, you do not agree with the assertion that the bench is currently filled with at least 80% of it being NPP persons, as the former president claims. Do you agree with that assertion?
I do not, but as I said in earlier interviews when the comments were made,
that it is not true.
Maybe he has some evidence that I do not know. I do not have, because he was once a president, and I know the appointment procedures haven't changed. They have been the same when President Mahama was in power. So if there are vacancies today being filled by somebody coincidentally, and that will be interpreted to mean that the person is packing the bench with NPP inclined judges, then I'm tempted to believe that is why he's coming to also perpetuate it. And I'm tempted to believe that maybe in the past that was what was happening. Because for me, what I know is that appointment procedures have not changed, and nobody was asking for a political affiliation, orientation, or philosophy before they appoint you to the bench. It's all about moral character, integrity, and professional competence. Those are the things I know.
I just finished interviewing Felix Kwachio Fosu, and he listed a number of persons he believes are openly NPP who were appointed to the bench. Would that suffice as evidence to you?
I don't think so, because there are people who are also on the bench who were even NDC parliamentary. I know of one judge who was an MP in one of the constituencies in the Western region of Seoul, who was an NDC MP, but he was not appointed by President Mahama then just because he was an MP. I believe what we wanted to do is appoint, as far as the appointment criteria were concerned, was his professional qualifications, because he was of a high moral character and because he had integrity. So I wouldn't say that to suffer. In any case, all of us vote in this country. Once we vote for a candidate on the ticket of a particular political party, you believe in them. That is why you do that. But that does not mean that just to interfere with your job as a judge, because professional competence, as it requires, has an element of you having been seen by the public as somebody who is impartial.
All right. What about the assertion by the NDC that they are being given a raw deal by the judiciary generally? They cite a number of cases which they say are being neglected because they believe it is a case that has been brought by them. They talk about the e-levy case, for instance. It's still sitting in the court after 2 years. They refer to a case they have brought against the limited registration exercise of the Electoral Commission. That exercise begins tomorrow. The court has set a date which is way beyond tomorrow to even begin hearing, even though they had filed that case a few days earlier. When they make statements like that, are they, shouting lion when there is none, or wolf when there is none, or they have some case?
It depends on who makes the statement. If those statements are coming from lay people who do not know how the adjudication process works, then I'll forgive them. But if it's coming from lawyers or people who have some knowledge of, appreciable knowledge of how the adjudication process works, then it is too bad for us as a nation, because the courts have procedures to follow. The fact that you brought a case today does not mean that you'll be given a date that you like. You can suggest a date, but the ultimate decision lies with the registrar of the court, who has a timetable up to the workload or the caseload and will determine when it should be heard.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
Thank you, sir.
That's Xavier Kuja. He's the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Bar Association. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We return with more. Please stay with us.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
When shopping for a dress, you say,
of course, a low burst line, a little tight by the hips, covered sleeves, off shoulder, definitely.
But when buying anti-malarial drug, you say,
is it not malaria? Give me whatever is available.
Choose your malaria drugs the same way you choose your dress. Always ask for Coartem. It's also available in cherry-flavored dispersible tablets for children. Don't gamble with malaria. Choose right. Choose Coartem. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. Malaria testing should be done before treatment. This advert is FDA approved.
Yeah, Charlie, so many vibes and I bought 10 father, my sanaba. My many papa and you're not for more fear anymore, more acquaintum. Trebiania, so I'm Maniscaco Fiesi and fancy that near fear for a bit for Jawisi no parking. A bear man Sujai Casa. Thanks to Sukasa, how to your nature. Sukasa Sia Dan Brony friend affordable luxury homes, or more 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, where you're fully gated or grants and communities, or more malls, clubhouse, and all social amenities, plus 24-hour security. Almost our flexible payments, and yeah, I know my dear at Dow Casa, plus 100% guaranteed cashback. Yes, 100% guaranteed cashback. No quick one-answer stories. Contact Sukasa right now through phone calls or WhatsApp on 030-296-0865 and 055-369-7886. Charlie's social media so more, baby. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Sukasa GH. Email Susie at info@sukasa.com.gh. Sukasa, building on trust.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. The NDC minority in Parliament had scheduled tomorrow for a march on the Bank of Ghana, which march has to do with the leadership at the central bank. Now, the earlier decision or the earlier date for the march was last week, but because of a court action that has been brought by the police, the minority was forced to reschedule to tomorrow. Now we are hearing that rescheduling has been rescheduled again. Mahama Yarga is Boku Central Member of Parliament, one of the key spokespersons of the minority side on this Bank of Ghana campaign. Why have they decided to reschedule? Honorable Yarga, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening.
Thank you. Last week when you rescheduled, you said it was because you wanted to hear from the courts. Now, what is the new reason for your rescheduling tomorrow?
We went to the Regional Police Command today upon their invitation because they said that this new date and the new letter that we gave them was a new event that required further consultations and meetings to agree on, one, the route, and two, the destination. If you recall, we gave them a route and we insisted on our old route and our old destination. So at the meeting, after extensive deliberations, we gave them an alternative route, which is to start from Obra Spot to Adabraka and then to Ridge Runabout, and from Ridge Runabout to National Theatre, then through the Ministry's police station in front of the court complex, hit the President Atamil's highway, and then turn right, and then head towards the Bank of Ghana. After extensive deliberations, they agreed with us on our route and endorsed it. Then the second issue came up, which is the destination. We told them we still wanted to go to the Bank of Ghana. They said that they were not going to accept Bank of Ghana because, as they indicated, Bank of Ghana is the security installation. So we said, good. Assuming that we agree with you, that Bank of Ghana is a security installation. As a security zone, tell us the boundary of the security zone. Where does the security zone end? My brother, for 2 good hours, the Ghana Police Service could not tell us where the security zone ends. We said, but you say it's a security zone. Let's say we agree with you that it's a security zone. A security zone cannot have an endless boundary. There has to be a definite boundary that you say, okay, the security zone is up to 100 meters to the Bank of Ghana, or 200 meters, or 350 meters. So tell us, from the Bank of Ghana building on the Atamils Highway towards Ministry, at what point do you think the security zone terminates? So that we can match up to where the security zone terminates. And the police could not tell us where the security zone terminates. So we said, well, fine. Don't worry. We will march up to the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, and we will hold ourselves there. And you will let the Bank of Ghana governors come and meet us there and take our petition, or our leaders are accompanied by you to the bank, and then we present the petition. And the police said no, they will not agree, and that we must terminate our march at the Independence Square. We engaged extensively on that, and they said, oh, you can march up to the roundabout of the President Atamils Highway, where you have to turn and go back to the Independence Square and end the demonstration there. We disagreed. We came out, and following consultations and discussions, our leader, Dr. Atto Forson, wrote to them indicating that we had accepted the arrangements where we would go through the route that we had agreed, and then we would terminate at the Independence Square as they proposed. So basically that was it. But then they said, well, yes, you have discussed with us, we've agreed on route and destination, but you cannot march tomorrow because we've only just had an agreement on all these issues. And logistically, it takes a lot of effort to prepare to support a demonstration of the size that we are anticipating. So we cannot support you if it is tomorrow. You have to come back to us with a realistic date for us to be able to also prepare and then support you, organize your march. So after consultation, our team decided that a day after the end of the limited registration exercise will afford our team and supporters, organizers, and structures the time and space to organize a well-attended march to demand the resignation of the governor and his deputies. So we communicated back to them that, okay, we will march on those routes on the 3rd of October, which is a Tuesday. And so we send that communication to the police.
So 3rd October is the next scheduled date?
Exactly.
All right. Thank you. Let's leave it here.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Muhammad Ayariga is Member of Parliament for Bawku Central. He's a member of the NDC side in Parliament. This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll be back with the latest in the world of business before we bring you the President's speech at the Bar Conference on Point Blank. Please stay.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
It's time for Citi Business News and Eyewitness News, powered by citibusinessnews.com. I am Akosia Ocho. Let's settle for the details. The Ghana Hotels Association have today petitioned Parliament over what they describe as unfair treatment being meted out by the Public Utilities Regulatory Authority. Now, the group is seeking the Speaker, Alban Bagwin's intervention to compel the PURC to reverse the 167% increment in water tariff from February to May 2023. Dr. Edward Akanyameke is president of the Hoteliers Association, and he has been highlighting what they expect to be the outcome of the petition.
We are asking the Speaker and, of course, the good members of Parliament to intervene in the matter. We are hoping that he will call PURC to a meeting, probably with us in attendance, because we are seeking relief with regard to reverting that very much April and May tariff increase, and also to justify the migration of hotels from the non-residential category to the commercial category, which has resulted in that huge leap in tariff for the hotels. And then we are also seeking the Speaker's intervention to ensure that in future the PURC will not act such manner where no prior notice is given on an adjustment and goes ahead to adjust the terms.
Dr. Edward Akanyameke is the president of the Ghana Hotels Association. Now, the Ghana Cocoa Board has resolved to implement stringent mechanisms to deal with cocoa smuggling. According to Cocoa Board, 150,000 metric tons of cocoa smuggled out of the country this year alone was due to instability of the city against the currencies of some neighboring countries. The commitment comes after the government increased the farm gate price for a bag of cocoa to 1,308 Ghana cedis and 20,943 Ghana cedis for a ton. While speaking to Citi Business News, Head of Public Relations at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, expressed government's commitment to fight the menace despite the new farm gate price.
Based on the conversations we've had with our neighboring countries and projections going into the new season in terms of price, we do not foresee a significant difference between what our neighboring countries will offer farmers and what we are offering farmers today. And this should largely handle or deal with the issue of smuggling. But beyond that, if in a situation where the price or any motivating factor for someone to smuggle the cocoa out of our country, the Honorable Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Brian Achampo, indicated last Saturday at the event that he will be launching what is termed arrest and share. Arrest and share basically has to do with the fact that if we are able to help or provide information leading to the arrest of the smugglers, the money, the worth of the cocoa that will be arrested, a higher percentage of it will be given to you. And the minister, when he launches it, will give details of it. And this, we believe, should be able to help avert this situation of smuggling. But we believe strongly that the price as a factor will check what happened last year.
Fifi Boafo speaks for the Ghana Cocoa Board. Now, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, is hopeful that the delivery of first oil from the Jubilee Southeast project offshore Ghana is a boost to Ghana's overall petroleum sector. Or the corporation, which holds 13.6% shares in the Jubilee Southeast, stands ready to tap into the successes of the project. The Jubilee Southeast project, which is an expansion of the Greater Jubilee Field production area, has increased oil production at the Jubilee Field beyond 100,000 barrels per day, a significant achievement that further alleviates Ghana's status as an oil-producing country in West Africa. Awene Dankwa is CEO of the GNPC.
This is very good news for the partnership, the Jubilee partnership, that is Talo, GNPC, Cosmos, and PetroSA, and just a positive trajectory for the country. This project increases our oil production, potentially increases our gas production, and paves the way for further wells within the Jubilee unitized area. So GNPC, as you know, by the law, we're supposed to participate in any petroleum agreement. And we have the opportunity to add more interest in terms of our equity. But we're working on the voting basin, where there's an onshore basin, and it's going to be purely a GNPC project, Ghana National Oil Company project, where it's a frontier basin. So we started to shoot a lot of seismic. We're beginning to understand the nuances of the basin, and we're planning to drill within the next year very soon. And hopefully we shall discover oil over there.
That was Chief Executive Officer of the GNPC, Awene Dankwa. Now, the coalition of aggrieved customers of Men's Gold is urging President Akufo-Addo to provide them with financial assistance while they await the court hearing of Men's Gold CEO Nana Piamensa on September 19, 2023. The group has announced plans to hold a vigil on September 12 to commemorate those who lost their lives due to the Men's Gold ordeal. In an interview with Citi Business News, the group's convener, Fred Forsing, appealed to the president to help recover their locked-up investments while the criminal court proceedings are ongoing.
To the President of the Republic to give us a financial bailout whilst the criminal case proceeds from the 19th of September. That and our contention is that Parliament has given an indication that Attorney General has also made a commitment with the filing of the new 39 charges, and these actions is more or less bringing life back to the customers. And we believe that it is time that the president also speaks. And when the president speaks, then customers will have that sign of relief. But he has the final authority. He decides whether customers will be paid or not.
Fred Forsing is convener of the coalition of aggrieved customers of defunct Men's Gold. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, has expressed concern over the increasing use of counterfeit trade documents by certain importers when declaring goods at the ports. The GRA has indicated that this practice is part of a broader effort by these importers to evade paying customs duties and taxes. This concern arises from intelligence gathered in February 2023 regarding two companies and importers who had falsified trade documents on their bills of lading to clear goods at the Tema port. The Commissioner of Customs at GRA, Alhaji Seidu Idrisu Idisa, stated that his agency is in the process of prosecuting these importers.
The Ghana Revenue Authority, Customs Division in particular, has noted with great concern an emerging practice where some declarants, that is customs house agents and the importers, connive with some shipping lines to falsify information on trade documents, especially the bill of lading and the invoices, sometimes misdescribing the goods to obtain priority clearance, leading to payment of lesser duties to the state. The division acted on intelligence received somewhere in February this year on two companies, and the importers, that have dotted their bills of lading in clearing goods from the Tema port. The goods were targeted and intercepted for physical examination. It was additionally revealed that the bill of ladings from the shipping lines and invoices declared by customs were falsified by some of our local shipping lines, because the shipping lines have their local reps who submit the goods that the ship is bringing to us electronically to our system. Our investigations so far have revealed that two of them have admitted that their own officers falsified the actual description of the goods which was submitted from the ships to them before feeding our system with it. And we are currently investigating both the shipping lines and the agents and importers to find out the degree of collaboration or connivance that took place.
You heard the Commissioner of Customs at the Ghana Revenue Authority, Alhaji Seidu Idrisu Idisa. Now, the Mobile Money Advocacy of Ghana, MOMAG, has inaugurated its month celebration. MOMAG Month, scheduled for September each year, is a permanent fixture on the association's calendar, ensuring that the remarkable achievements and progress continue to be celebrated annually. Speaking during the MOMAG Day celebration under the theme, creating a sustainable growth for MOMAG. Its president, Edward Ofori-Agyeman, reflected on some of its achievements in the 9 months since taking office in December 2022.
A bank account has been opened for the MOMAG National Office for Transparency and Accountability. There has been numerous capacity building sessions for members to equip them on how to safeguard their businesses against fraudsters. These trainings were both done in person and online. WhatsApp platform. 3. We have organized a hard work for members to strengthen their bodies and stay healthy. Acquisition of 37 merchant SIMs for every zone.
You had the president of the Mobile Money Advocacy of Ghana, MOMAG, Edward Ofori-Agyeman. Finally, the Ghana Commercial Bank, GCB, has refuted claims that the recent loss of 60 billion Ghana cedis recorded by the Bank of Ghana has affected the operations of some commercial banks, including GCB. The bank asserts that the banking sector is building back some confidence after government's rollout of the domestic debt exchange program, with the balance sheets of some banks expanding. These comments were made by the Deputy Managing Director of GCB, Emmanuel Odati-Lamte, on the sidelines of a golf tournament as part of activities to mark the 70th anniversary of the bank here in Accra.
At all, it hasn't impacted our operations. We are a purely commercial bank. The central bank is a central bank, an independent body and a regulator. So it hasn't impacted our profits or our numbers or our business at all in any way. I think the banking sector has seen solid growth after post-DDEP. At the end of last year, obviously, banks posted losses. But post the DDEP, we've seen a balance sheet of banks expand. In fact, the banking opportunities in our country remains very high. And as we all know, banks play a very critical role in the economic development of the country. And GTB over the past 7 decades has contributed immensely by supporting governments in terms of revenue collections. Clients are able to pay their taxes through our branches and through our digital channels. Through the loan facilities and call it the fixed deposit products and all the banking services that we provide, we've been able to help our SME clients and our corporate clients to expand their business, thereby generating employment for a number of Ghanaians.
Deputy Managing Director of Ghana Commercial Bank, Emmanuel Odati-Lamte. Well, that's how we wrap up City Business News on Eyewitness News. It was powered by your most comprehensive business website, citybusinessnews.com. I am Akosia Otre. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry, Chairman Mane. Chairman. Hey, Chairman! Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Technology is shaping the workforce of the future. Are you job market ready? Looking for a career change or want to get into the tech space? The place to start is with ALX. ALX, an Africa Leadership Group initiative in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation, is developing a talent pool within the technology sector. ALX offers courses in software engineering, AWS cloud computing, data analytics, and Salesforce administration. This is an opportunity to learn in-demand skills in a changing job market. ALX provides added value in training programs, mentorships, and networking. Apply now and get started on your dream career. Visit www.alxafrica.com to register before the deadline of 12 September 2023.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
We are going back to Cape Coast. The President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, addressed lawyers at the bar conference. We want you to listen to exactly what the President said, which has generated lots of headlines and controversy as well. Let's listen.
Generations of my forebears and relations established this rich tradition of public service, to which I am greatly indebted, as it is a source of constant inspiration. Indeed, Kofi Abrefa Busia, Prime Minister of the Progress Party government of the Second Republic, and one of the great Ghanaians, said, and I quote, "We regard politics as an avenue of service to our fellow men. We hold that politics is exercised to make life nobler and happier," unquote. I'm fully aware of the responsibility the job of President of the Republic brings. As I'm fortunate enough to carry a sense of the history and struggles that made that job possible, as well as being apprised of the challenges and opportunities of the future. Crucial to the progressive and prosperous future I seek to help create for the Ghanaian people is how to sustain their confidence in the democratic journey on which we have embarked. We celebrated this year 30 years of multi-party democracy under the Constitution of the Fourth Republic, which has provided the framework for the longest period of uninterrupted, stable, constitutional governance in our otherwise turbulent history. Next year, we will be going to the polls for the 9th time in the Fourth Republic to elect a new president and new members of parliament. We will, in the results of those polls, witness either the changing of power from one political party to another, as we have done on 3 separate occasions in the Fourth Republic, or the breaking of the 8, something that has never happened before in the Fourth Republic. I'm sure I do not need to tell you what my present preference is. It is public knowledge. What is important, however, is that the Ghanaian people have demonstrated that they are fully conversant with the process of peaceful democratic transitions and need no lessons in the exercise of their democratic rights. Maintaining high standards and integrity in public life is key to extending our association with multi-party democracy. As one writer put it, and I quote, "Standards in public life help to maintain the health of the democratic system and uphold public confidence in it. They help prevent politicians and officials from being swayed by outside interests in their decision-making and help to maintain a political culture that fosters open and constructive debate. They thereby contribute to a political system that is fair, inclusive, stable, and effective," unquote. The Ghanaian people are expectant that Parliament, the legislative arm of government, will continue to grow into its proper role as an effective machinery for accountability and oversight of the executive, and not be its junior partner. Parliament must stand out as an institution that represents all the values that we hold dear and in which our citizens can take pride. Our judiciary must inspire confidence in the citizenry so we can all see the courts as the ultimate arbiters when disputes arise. A Ghanaian judge must be a reassuring presence and the epitome of fairness. Ensuring high standards and integrity in public life has its own impact on the image of our nation and our ability to attract the substantial amounts of investment, foreign and domestic, needed to help grow our economy. We will attract the requisite investments if we continue to hold ourselves as a haven of peace, security, and stability. And if we continue to show that we are a country where the separation of powers is real and the principles of democratic accountability and respect for the rule of law, individual liberties and human rights are firmly entrenched in our body politic. The legal profession has a catalytic role to play in guaranteeing the sustenance of these values and thereby in helping us uphold the maintenance of integrity in the ordering of our state. Learned friends, in recent times, the debate on standards and integrity in public life has centered largely on the fight against corruption and whether or not this president and his government are doing enough to combat this cancer. It is true that corruption is not an exclusively Ghanaian phenomenon, but one which permeates all nations of the world. It results in reputational damage to businesses and establishments and undermines the public trust in governments. The manifestations of corruption are getting increasingly complex as they often occur with the aid of professional enablers such as accountants, lawyers, bankers, real estate agents, shell companies, and opaque financial systems that provide opportunities for the laundering and concealment of illicit wealth. If not controlled, corruption can stultify the economic aspirations of any nation. Globally, the World Economic Forum has estimated the cost of corruption around the world at some 2.6 trillion United States dollars a year. I accepted the invitation to speak here in order to take advantage of this occasion, to place again, once again, my government's record on corruption for public scrutiny. It will show that my government has undertaken arguably the boldest initiative since our nation attained independence, nearly 66 years ago, to reform and strengthen the capacity of our institutions to tackle corruption in the public sector. Charity, they say, begins at home. And that is why so far, every single alleged act of corruption leveled against any of my appointees has been investigated by independent bodies such as SHRAJ, the CID, and in some cases by Parliament itself. It is not my job to clear or convict any person accused of wrongdoing or of engaging in acts of corruption. That is the job of the courts and the law enforcement agencies. My job is to act on allegations of corruption by referring the issue or issues to the proper investigative agencies for the relevant inquiry and action, including, if necessary, the suspension of the affected official pending the conclusion of investigations. That is exactly what has been done since I assumed the mantle of leadership on 7th January 2017. From the allegations against the then Minister Designate for Energy, Boakye Jako, at his parliamentary confirmation hearings in 2017, to that against the former CEO of BOST, the Honorable Alfred Obeng, to those against the then two Deputy Chiefs of Staff at the Office of the President, Honorable Francis Asenso-Boakye and Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, to the conflict of interest allegations against the Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, to the claims of extortion against the then Trade and Industry Minister Designate, Alan Chremateng, at his parliamentary confirmation hearings in 2017, to allegations of doubling in visa racketeering against the then Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, Pius Hajije, and the then Director General of the National Sports Authority, the Honorable Robert Safo-Mensah, who, even though exonerated by the CID, later resigned. The chairperson of the board of the National Sports Authority, the Honorable Kojo Ba Ajiman, to the allegations of bribery leveled against the secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bissu, to those involving the dismissed acting CEO of the Public Procurement Authority, PPA, A.B. Ajay, and the dismissed CEO of the National Youth Authority, Emmanuel Asigre. They have all been investigated and in most cases cleared by the authorized institutions of the state and not by President Akufo-Addo. The latest episode involving the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, the Honorable Sisidi Abna-Dapa, is evident for all to see. I am not aware of any government in the Fourth Republic subjecting so many of its officials to such investigations and inquiries. At the same time, several officials of the previous Mahama administration, such as William Matthew Tevi, Alhaji Salifu Mimina Osman, and Eugene Bafo-Boni, in the infamous $4 United States million NCA scandal, have been tried and convicted of various corruption-related offenses, and several others, including Dr. Stephen Upuni, the former CEO of Cocoa Board, and the Honorable Cassiel Atuforson, the minority leader in Parliament, are standing trial as we speak. None of the accountability institutions of state, including the new Office of Special Prosecutor, have ever indicated any pressure from the executive over their investigations. There are some who refuse to accept my method of proceeding and have characterized me as a clearing agent, because for them, the mere allegation without more is enough to merit condemnation of the public official. For my part, I will not set aside due process in the fight against corruption, no matter how much opprobrium this incurs for me. With a clear understanding that corruption thrives in an atmosphere conducive to its concealment, and that access to information is a vital tool in the fight against corruption, my government in its first term ensured the passage of the Right to Information Act 2019, Act 9989, in order to give true meaning and effect to the provisions of Article 21, Clause 1, Subclause F of the Constitution. The Act, which successive governments had failed to pass, sees to the implementation of the constitutional right to information held by a public institution, to foster a culture of transparency and accountability in public affairs, subject to exemptions necessary and consistent with the protection of the public interest in a democracy, in a democratic society. The Act is being implemented fully now, with the governing board chaired by an experienced retired High Court judge. The Ministry of Information has trained information officers in various ministries, departments, and agencies of government to support the full application of the law. In 2018, again during my first term, Parliament passed the Witness Protection Act 2018, Act 975, to which I gave assent on 24th August the same year. The Act established a Witness Protection Agency to establish a witness protection scheme as a vehicle for offering protection to persons who are required to cooperate with law enforcement agencies as witnesses in the investigation and prosecution of cases, particularly corruption cases affecting public officers. The Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2020, Act 1034, has been passed to amend Section 239 of the Criminal Offences Act to categorize the offense of corruption, previously a misdemeanor, as a felony, and to provide stiffer punishments of terms of imprisonment of not less than 12 years and not more than 25 years in prison. other laws passed by Parliament at the instigation of my administration and which have enhanced significantly the capacity of the state in the fight against corruption are the Revenue Administration Amendment Act 2020, Act 1029, the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2018-982, State Interest and Governance Authority Act 2019, Act 990, the Anti-Money Laundering Act 2020, Act 1044, the Corporate Restructuring and Insolvency Act 2020, Act 1015, the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, including its provisions on the Register of Beneficial Owners, the Narcotics Control Commission Act of 2020, Act 1019, and the Real Estate Agency Act 2020, Act 1047. Administratively, a series of other far-reaching measures have been undertaken by my government to help in the fight against corruption. A memorandum of understanding on information exchange and collaboration in combating corruption and crime in general has been signed by SRAJ, EYOCO, Parliament, Office of the Attorney General, Ghana Audit Service, Ghana Police Service, Financial Intelligence Center, the Narcotics Control Commission, the Internal Audit Agency, the National Investigations Bureau, NIB, and the Office of the Special Prosecutor to this end. Underlying the digitalization agenda of my government, which comprises a robust national identification system, digital property address system, the paperless port system, e-justice system, pensions and insurance data system, a digitalized land registry, and mobile money interoperability is the overarching objective to improve transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the public sector. A digitized environment ultimately helps to eliminate and prevent corruption in various institutions and agencies. The Passport Office, Ports and Harbors, Registrar General's Department, the National Health Insurance Scheme, the Driver Vehicle and Licensing Authority, which hitherto were fertile grounds for corrupt activity, are being transformed beyond recognition. The introduction of the Ghana.gov platform has significantly reduced the risk of public sector corruption through embezzlement, making it possible for services to be accessed and payments made online by card or mobile money, with a considerable reduction in the conduit of middlemen or Goro boys. It is also an undeniable fact the budgetary allocations for institutions actively engaged in public sector accountability, i.e. the Office of the Auditor General, the Judiciary, Parliament, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SRAJ, the Ghana Police Service, the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, EYOCO, and the Financial Intelligence Center, FIC.
The president's speech, he spoke at the Bar Conference in Cape Coast today, where he highlighted a number of issues, interventions he has made in the governance and anti-corruption space. Well, that will be it for Eyewitness News tonight. My name is Umaru Sanda Amado. Production by Beverly London, Sami Uyafi, and Kobna Wilson. Technical support from Daniel Squashi, and new media support from Edwin Kwakofi. We'll return tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Up next is Footprint. Tonight on Footprint, Samuel Atamensa will be hosting Hackman Owusu Ajiman. Please, it's a continuation of a conversation from last week. Stay tuned in and listen.